In Chapter 3, we got a good look at using absolute addressing in an Excel spreadsheet. We're going to extend that concept another layer. There are some other options available. We're going to create a multiplication table and see if we can figure out an easy way to do this. Now, by a multiplication table, perhaps you did these in school. We've got an operand across the top in row 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have an operand in column A, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You look at the intersection of the row and column to find out what the result of multiplying those two numbers would be. So 11 times 12 is 132, or 12 times 11 is 132. 12 times 12 is 144. It would be nice if we could come up with one formula and just copy it over, wouldn't it? So let's go create it from scratch. Before we do that, however, we're going to investigate a very nice little feature. Remember, I think we did something with data fill with the months back in the budget one. Here's another example. If you set up a relationship or a pattern between two numbers, like I could go 0.25 and 0.5, if I highlight the two numbers and then grab the copy fill handle, it generates a pattern with that. For now, I'm just going to do the twos times table so we can illustrate how this works. Now, to get the answer of 0 times 2, I would simply code equals A3 times B2. 0 times 2 is 0. Now, when I copy that down, when I get down to the bottom, I would expect that 12 times 2 is 24, right? And oops, it's 0. What should you do when something is an error? The wrong answer is click on undo. The right answer is let me look at it and see why in the world Excel did that. So we'll look at this bottom one. Now, if we were going to go 12 times 2, we should have equals A15 times B2, right? Well, looking at the formula, in the formula bar, we do have A15, but we have B14 instead. Why did that happen? Well, recall relative addressing. Back in cell B3, it was equals 1 to the left times 1 above, and when we copied it, it copied that pattern, 1 to the left times 1 above. Now, your mind should be saying, oh, there's got to be a way to turn that off. And yes, there is. We need to tell it to lock down a part of an address so it doesn't change. Just part of the address would be absolute. Or all of it. Now, looking at this, the A3 changing to A4 was okay, etc., but the B2 should have stayed at B2. So let's come up to the math bar, the formula bar. Function key F4 types in the dollar signs for you. Sure enough, from what we know from Chapter 3, that would lock down B2. And sure enough, I do get 12 times 2 is 24. Good. Now, however, we're going to use the idea to get the 12 across. Let me repeat what I did in column A here in row 2. I'm going to type in a 0 and a 1, highlight them, grab the corner, and drag across to fill. Okay? And sure enough, 12 times 0 is 0, so it looks like my first column changed. So I'm going to highlight those and then copy those across and see if I get 144 at the end there. And I don't. I get 0. Okay, to analyze what went wrong, I'm not going to look at all of them, but I'm going to come up here and let's maybe look at 3 times 2. So for this one, to be 3 times 2, I would have expected it to say A3 times D2, right? No. A6 times D6. Okay. No. A6 times D2. Okay. Takes a while to figure these out. So the first one should have been A6. Instead, it's C6. The second one, instead of being B2, should have been D2. Let me go back to just 1 times 1, see if I can see a pattern here. That one should have been A4 times C2. Okay, maybe I'm getting it. Let's go back to the very first formula. Actually, let's delete everything so it's a little easier to keep track. For the first formula, I should have said equals 1 to the left times 1 above. But I always want it to say column A, don't I? I always want it to refer to A, but I want the 3 to change to 4 to 5 as I copy it down. The way we do that is to only lock down part of the address. So I'm going to click on the A3 and hit function key F4. Puts in $2, but if I hit it again, it locks down the row, but we said we needed the A locked down. Hit it again, we get the A locked down. Good. Now let's go to the B2. I don't want the B locked down every time, do I? I want it to change to C to D to E, but I always want it to be row 2. So let me hit function key F4 again until I get to the option that would lock down the 2. Nope, that locks down both of them. Ah, that locks down just the 2. So enter. Let me try copying it. I will grab the copy fill handle and copy it down. Next I will grab that highlighted area, the copy fill handle, and copy it across. Much better. I do have 144. 12 times 12 is 144. 10 times 10 is 100. So that worked out very nicely.